This yellow raft is over 50 years old. My father built it when he was 15. It's mostly made from regular lumber. We're talking non-pressure treated lumber. And it lasted 50 years. I don't think today's lumber can do that. It had one fatal flaw. It would house these absolutely huge dock spiders that would hide below the deck boards. Other than that, though, this was the main attraction for camp for many, many years. This thing was awesome. That is until one glorious, fateful summer. I was about 30 years old. I purchased our first camp water trampoline. Water trampolines are so much fun. A lot of work and a lot of money. But man, are they fun. For about 10 years, we've kept the raft going the best we could. But the top is rotted right through. And it's time to make a decision about what to do with it. This has a lot of value for me and nostalgia. So if you've watched my videos, you'll know I won't be throwing it out. There's something honorable about giving something as old as this new life. So my plan is I'm going to remake it into a rebirth of a sort of dock / patio to attach to the side of the existing dock. I think it's going to be a really good spot just to sit out by the water. And I love the idea of the older generation being able to sit on the original raft they once enjoyed in a more comfortable manner. First thing I did is I tore the sucker apart. I'm really sorry I forgot to film it. The next thing was I took the lumber that was good, went through it, and cut it down to dimensions of 2x6s, and then I rebuilt the frame using parts of the original raft. If you need some tips on framing, check out some of my other videos before you start your next project. To hold this up out of the water, you can do a couple of things. You can use 4x4s, but I welded up some brackets because I love welding, and I used some 2-inch pipe and welded some angle iron. Those will hold up some pipe stock that I had that I'm going to use for posts. Now, if you haven't welded, then you haven't lived. I have a separate video explaining beginner steps to buying and using a welder. Go check it out. It's not nearly as much money as you think. Once I had it framed and squared up, I floated it out, bolted it to the original dock. Before decking it, I decided to apply some leftover pieces of ice and water shield to the top of the framing. This is something you may want to consider when you're doing your projects. Installing ice and water shield to the top of the framing will lengthen the life of the framing. I especially use it here because this framing is 50 years old and non-pressure treated and on the water. Now that 2x4 across the middle is what's holding the framing square, so I can't just remove it. I first screwed down the decking on the ends, making sure to get the overhang I wanted. Screwed those all down, and once they were holding the framing square, I removed that 2x4 and then did math to figure out what spacing was between the rest of the decking. Screwed the decking with 2.5-inch deck screws, either 2 or 3 screws per spot, whatever your preference is, and then it was just rinse and repeat. 30 more minutes of screwing down, about 500 screws. We have ourselves the yellow raft reborn. The plan now is to let the sun dry out all those wet pressure-treated boards. At the end of the season, we'll give it a brand new paint job. We did save some money in using the existing wood of the dock for the framing. The real value of this build was in the pride of turning that old raft into something new for a few more decades, hopefully. I'm still Mike Mayo, and I still need a slogan. Somebody help me out. Found anything now? No? Nothing? What's up, pup? Any luck? No? Not yet? Okay. Let me know if you find one.